The smell of grilled meat and rice filled the small apartment as Park Woo-jin climbed the stairs to his family home. He could hear voices through the thin walls. His stomach twisted, but not from hunger. These family dinners always went the same. Wei, he knocked softly on the door. His mother, Lee Hae-jin, opened it with a warm smile that quickly faded when she saw his work clothes. Woo-jin, you could have dressed better, she whispered. Your cousin Da-hoon is here with his wife. Woo-jin nodded and stepped inside. The living room was crowded with relatives sitting around the low table. His father, Park Tae-ho, looked up from his position at the head of the table. Tae-ho worked for Nexus Galactic Mining Corporation, one of the biggest human companies in space. He wore his company uniform even at home, the blue fabric pressed and clean. There he is, said Kim Da-hoon, not bothering to stand. The space janitor finally shows up. Da-hoon wore an expensive suit and had the confident smile of someone who never doubted his own success. His wife, Cho Yuna, giggled behind her hand. She always laughed at Da-hoon's jokes, even the mean ones. Woo-jin's aunt, Lee Mi-young, shook her head as she looked at him. Look at those clothes, oil stains and dirt. When I was young, men took pride in their appearance. Leave him alone, said Woo-jin's younger sister, Park So-min, though her tone suggested she didn't really mean it. At least he has a job. A job? Hoon laughed loudly. Cleaning space stations is not a career. It's what prisoners do for community service. Woo-jin sat down quietly in the only empty spot between his father and an elderly uncle who was already half asleep. His mother brought him a plate of food, but the smell that had been so appealing moments before now made him feel sick. How much are you making these days? Asked Mi-young, still living in that tiny apartment near the spaceport. It's fine, Woo-jin replied, taking a small bite of rice. I don't need much space. That's good, said Da-hoon, because you're never going to afford anything better. Space maintenance pays what? Minimum wage? Hoon, warned Tae-ho quietly, but his voice carried no real authority. What? Da-hoon spread his hands innocently. I'm just being honest. Woo-jin had potential. He was smart in school, good at math and science. He even served in the military with distinction. But look at him now. Yuna nodded along with her husband. My brother makes 3 times what Woo-jin makes, and he's 2 years younger. So-min picked at her food. I just don't understand why you left the military, Appa. You had rank, respect. You could have made a real career. The military wasn't for me, Woo-jin said simply. He'd had this conversation many times before. Wasn't. For you? Mi-young's voice rose. You threw away 4 years of training, a guaranteed pension, and a chance to serve your country? For what? To fix broken toilets on space stations? The old uncle woke up and looked around confused. What are we talking about? Uncle Jae-ho, Da-hoon said loudly. We're discussing how Woo-jin wasted his life. Ah, the old man nodded and went back to sleep. Tae-ho cleared his throat. Maybe we should talk about something else. No, this is important, Da-hoon insisted. Families should be honest with each other. Woo-jin, you're 28 years old? Most of your classmates are married, buying houses, starting families. What do you have to show for your life? Woo-jin looked around the table. His family stared at him with expressions ranging from disappointment to pity. His father wouldn't meet his eyes. I help people, Woo-jin said quietly. Help people? Da-hoon laughed again. By mopping floors and fixing air filters? Come on, be serious. The work I do matters, Woo-jin tried to explain, but he could see no one believed him. To who? So-min asked. Who cares if the janitor does a good job? Yuna leaned forward with fake sympathy. Woo-jin, we're only saying this because we care. About you, you're still young enough to change your life. Da-hoon's law firm is always looking for good people. You could start as a clerk, work your way up. I don't want to work at a law firm, Woo-jin said. Then what do you want? Mi-young demanded, to live in poverty forever? To embarrass your family every time someone asks what you do for work? Tae-ho finally spoke up, but his words cut deeper than anyone else's. Your aunt is right, son. I work with important people at Nexus, executives, department heads, even some alien supervisors. When they ask about my family, what am I supposed to say? The room fell silent except for the old uncle's gentle snoring. Wu Jin felt something break inside his chest. His own father was ashamed of him. My supervisor is actually coming to dinner next week, Taeho continued. Vexmore, a Calarian. Very important in the company. I hope you'll dress appropriately if you join us. Da-hoon perked up with interest. An alien supervisor? That's impressive. Uncle, maybe he can find Wu Jin some real work. I doubt it, Taeho said sadly. Vexmore works with professionals, scientists, engineers, not maintenance workers. Wu Jin stood up slowly. His food was barely touched, but he had no appetite. Left. I should go, already? His mother asked. You just got here? Stay, So-min said, though she didn't sound like she meant it. We're having dessert soon. No, Wu Jin said, pulling on his jacket. I have an early shift tomorrow. Of course. You do, Mi Young muttered. Toilets don't clean themselves. Da-hoon raised his glass of wine. Here's to family dinner, where we tell each other the truth. Even when it hurts. The others raised their glasses, but Wu Jin was already walking toward the door. He heard his mother calling after him, but he didn't turn around. Outside in the cool evening air, Wu Jin walked slowly toward the subway station. His cum device buzzed with a message, but he ignored it. Probably another family member wanting to continue the conversation. As he waited for the train, Wu Jin looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, beyond the city lights and the atmosphere, was his real world. A world where his work mattered, where people respected what he could do, where he made a difference. But here on Earth, in his family's small apartment, he was just Wu Jin, the space janitor, the disappointment, the failure. The train arrived, and Wu Jin climbed aboard. Tomorrow would bring another day, another mission, another chance to prove his worth to people who would never know his name. But tonight, for the first time in years, he wondered if it was all worth it. 3 days after the terrible dinner, Wu Jin was fixing a broken water pump in his small apartment when his cum device rang. The caller ID showed his father's name. Wu Jin almost didn't answer. He wasn't ready for another lecture about his life choices. Hello, Dad, he said, trying to keep his voice neutral. Wu Jin, I need your help. Taeho's voice was shaking. Something's wrong, very wrong. Wu Jin put down his tools. His father never sounded scared. What happened? Vexmore called me into his office today. He wants to meet you, tomorrow night, at our house. Taeho was speaking fast, the words tumbling together. I don't understand why. I must have said something wrong about you. Maybe he's going to fire me. Slow down, Dad. Why would he want to? Meet me? I don't know. He asked very specific questions about you, your age, your military service, where you work now. When I told him you do maintenance work, he got very quiet. Then he said he needed to speak with you personally. Wu Jin felt a cold sensation in his stomach. This was not good. His two worlds were about to collide. Did he say anything else? Just that it was urgent, very urgent. He's coming at 7 tomorrow night. Wu Jin, I can't lose this job. Your mother and I are finally saving money. If I get fired because of something you did. I haven't done anything wrong, Dad. Then why does an alien supervisor want to meet you? Wu Jin couldn't answer that question. At least not truthfully. I'll be there tomorrow night. Good, and Wu Jin? Please dress nicely. This is important. The next evening, Wu Jin stood outside his family's apartment building wearing his best clothes. They weren't expensive, but they were clean and pressed. His hands were shaking slightly as he climbed the stairs. The door opened before he could knock. His mother grabbed his arm and pulled him inside. Thank goodness you're here, she whispered. Your father has been pacing all day. Da-hoon and Mi Young are here too. They wanted to meet the alien. The apartment was spotless. His mother had spent the day cleaning and preparing special food. Da-hoon sat on the couch wearing his most expensive suit, looking like he was about to negotiate $1 million deal. Mi Young had put on her best jewelry and was taking pictures of herself with her phone. Maybe this alien can help me get a job with Nexus too, Da-hoon was saying to his wife. I bet they need lawyers. So-min was nervously arranging flowers on the table. Do you think he'll be scary? I've never met an alien before. Tae-ho stood by the window, watching for any sign of arrival. His company uniform was perfectly pressed, and he had polished his shoes until they gleamed. There, he said suddenly. I see the transport. Everyone rushed to the window. A sleek black vehicle had landed quietly in the small courtyard below. It was clearly not human technology. The design was too smooth, too perfect. He's coming up, Tae-ho said, his voice barely a whisper. The family arranged themselves in the living room. Da-hoon practiced his handshake. Mi-young checked her hair one more time. So-min hid behind their mother. The knock on the door was gentle, but authoritative. Tae-ho opened the door and bowed deeply. Supervisor Lexmore, welcome to our home. The alien stepped inside and the room fell completely silent. Lexmore was tall, nearly 8 feet, with crystalline blue skin that seemed to glow softly in the apartment's light. His features were sharp and angular like living gemstone. He wore a simple dark uniform that somehow looked more expensive than anything in the room. Thank you for receiving me, Park Tae-ho, Lexmore said in perfect Korean. His voice was deep and melodious. I apologize for the short notice. No. It's an honor, Tae-ho stammered. Please let me introduce my family. He went around the room, introducing each person. Da-hoon straightened his tie and gave his best professional smile. Mi-young bowed so low she nearly fell over, so Min managed a small wave. And this is my son, Woo-jin, Tae-ho said when he reached the end. Lexmore's entire demeanor changed. He straightened to his full height and his crystalline features became very still. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the alien did something that shocked everyone in the room. He bowed, not the casual nod he had given the others, but a deep, formal bow that spoke of genuine respect. Colonel Park, Lexmore said, his voice carrying. A note of reverence that made the family gasp. Hoon's mouth fell open. Mi-young dropped her phone. So-min made a small squeaking sound. Tae-ho looked confused. I'm sorry, there must be some mistake. This is my son Woo-jin. He's not a colonel. He works in maintenance. Lexmore's large eyes, which were like brilliant sapphires, focused on Woo-jin. There is no mistake. Your son holds the honorary rank of colonel within the Galactic Defense Coalition. He is known throughout the sector. That's impossible, Da-hoon said, finding his voice. He cleans space stations. Lexmore turned to look at Da-hoon, and the young lawyer suddenly felt very small. I do not know what you mean by clean space stations. Colonel Park is one of the most skilled tactical specialists in known space. The room was so quiet that Woo-jin could hear his own heartbeat. His family stared at him like he had grown a second head. Colonel, Lexmore continued, I have come because we have a situation that requires your specific expertise. The Calarian research vessel Bright Hope has been captured by the Vorthic Syndicate in the Epsilon sector. Woo-jin nodded slowly. How long ago? 36 hours. They are holding the crew hostage and demanding ransom for both the personnel and the terraforming technology aboard. Terraforming technology? Tae-ho repeated weakly. The most advanced in the galaxy, Lexmore explained. In the wrong hands, it could be weaponized to destroy entire planets. We need someone who can infiltrate their base and extract both the crew and the technology, So-min found her voice. You want my brother to fight space pirates? Lexmore looked at her with what might have been amusement. Colonel Park has faced far worse than simple pirates. The Vorthic Syndicate is dangerous, but they are not beyond his capabilities. Da-hoon was shaking his head. This is crazy. Woo-jin is just ... He is one of the finest soldiers I have ever had the honor to know, Lexmore said firmly. Human or otherwise, Woo-jin finally spoke. What's the tactical situation? Their base is hidden in the Crimson Nebula. Standard navigation systems fail in that environment. Most species cannot operate effectively in such conditions. But humans have a unique ability to adapt to hostile environments that others find impossible. Mi-young was looking back and forth between Woo-jin and the alien like she was watching a tennis match. I don't understand any of this. Vexmore turned to address the family. Your son has saved more lives than you can imagine. He has prevented wars, rescued civilians from disasters, and kept peace between species that might otherwise destroy each other. Tejo sat down heavily on the couch. My son? My son who I thought was a failure? Failure? Vexmore's crystalline features showed confusion. Colonel Park is a hero throughout the galaxy. There are species who consider him a legend. The alien turned back to Wu Jin. Will you accept this mission? Wu Jin looked around the room at his family's shocked faces. For the first time in years, they were seeing him clearly. Let me hear the full briefing first, he said. Vexmore moved to the center of the small living room, and suddenly the space felt like a military command center. He activated a small device from his belt, and a three-dimensional hologram appeared above the coffee table. The Park family gasped. They had never seen technology like this in their own home. The hologram showed a detailed map of space, with swirling colors representing different sectors. Vexmore pointed to a red area that pulsed ominously. This is the Epsilon sector, he began. It's considered lawless space by most galactic governments. The Vorthic Syndicate has controlled this region for over 200 years. Dahun leaned forward, his Laoier instincts kicking in despite his shock. Why hasn't anyone stopped? Many have tried, Vexmore replied. The Syndicate is not just a criminal organization. They have advanced technology, military-grade weapons, and they know how to use the dangerous areas of space to their advantage. The hologram zoomed in on a swirling mass of red and purple gases. It looked beautiful but deadly. The Crimson Nebula. Vexmore continued. Most ships cannot navigate through it. The gases interfere with instruments, communications, and even life support systems. It's the perfect hiding place. Somin raised her hand like she was in school. But if it's so dangerous, how can anyone get through it? Vexmore looked at Wu Jin with obvious respect. Humans have something most species lack. You can adapt to conditions that would kill others. You can make decisions quickly when technology fails. You can survive where others cannot. Mi Young was shaking her head. But Wu Jin is just one person. How can he fight an entire criminal organization? He won't be fighting them directly, Vexmore explained. This is a stealth mission. Get in, extract the crew and technology. Get out. Colonel Park specializes in this type of operation. The hologram changed to show a massive space station hidden deep within the nebula. It was dark and angular, covered in weapons and defensive systems. The Vorthek base, Vexmore said. It houses approximately 5,000 criminals and their families. The Calarian crew is being held in the lower detention levels. Tejo was staring at the hologram with wide eyes. How do you know all this? We have sources inside the Syndicate, Vexmore replied. But they cannot help directly without revealing themselves. The rescue must come from outside. Wu Jin studied the hologram carefully. What about the terraforming technology? Where is it being kept? Central Vault, Level 7. It's a prototype device that can transform a dead planet into a garden world in just 10 years. In the wrong hands, it could also strip life from a living planet in days. The family fell silent at this revelation. The stakes were enormous. How many people are we talking about? Wu Jin asked. The Calarian crew? 12 scientists and their support staff? 23 total. Vexmore's expression grew sad. They were on a peaceful research mission when they were captured. Yuna spoke up for the first time since the alien arrived. What happens if this terraforming thing gets used as a weapon? Billions could die, Vexmore said simply. The Syndicate has already made threats against 3 different worlds. They want to auction the technology to the highest bidder. Dahun was doing quick calculations in his head. The ransom value must be incredible. More money than most planets make in a century, Vexmore confirmed. But the real danger is what happens after the sale. Whoever buys this technology could hold entire systems hostage. The hologram shifted again, showing Wu Jin's approach route through the nebula. It looked like a maze of dangerous gases and floating debris. The journey will take 3 days, Vexmore explained. You'll need to use a specially modified ship that can handle the nebula's conditions. Even then, you'll be flying mostly blind for the final approach. Wujin nodded. What about extraction? How do I get 23 people out of a fortress? That's where your reputation comes in, Vexmore said with something that might have been a smile. You have done impossible things before. The liberation of Station Gamma 7, the rescue at the Andorian Rift, the peace negotiations on Zarian Prime. The family looked at Wu Jin in amazement. These sounded like the adventures of a legendary hero, not their quiet relative. Wait, Somin said, the Andorian Rift? That was in the news 2 years ago. They said a human saved 3,000 people from a dimensional collapse. That was your brother, Vexmore said proudly. Mi Young put her hand to her chest. 3,000 people? An entire research colony, Vexmore confirmed. Colonel Park stayed behind to evacuate everyone else, even though it meant risking his own life. Taeho was looking at his son like he was seeing him for the first time. Wu Jin, is this all true? Wu Jin was quiet for a moment. The work I do is classified. I couldn't tell you about it. But why? His mother asked. Why keep it secret? Because the more people who know what I do, the more danger my family is in, Wu Jin explained. There are enemies out there who would hurt you. To get to me. Dahun was finally beginning to understand. That's why you live in that small apartment. Why you dress like a maintenance worker. It's all a cover. It's not a cover, Wu Jin corrected. I really do live simply. I don't need much. And I really do work on space stations, just not the way you thought? Vexmore brought up another hologram, this one showing various alien species. Colonel Park has worked with Calarians, Vorthak, Androians, and dozens of other species. He speaks 17 languages and understands the customs of 43 different cultures. 17 languages? So-min gasped. Including Vorthak, Wu Jin sighed. That's why this mission might work. I can blend in with the Syndicate personnel. The hologram showed detailed schematics of the Vorthak base. The plan is complex but possible, Vexmore continued. You'll infiltrate during their shift change when security is most relaxed. Extract the crew and technology, then escape during the confusion. How long do I have? Wu Jin asked. The auction is in 6 days? If we don't act now, the technology will be sold and distributed. After that, it will be too late to stop. You now look scared. What if something goes wrong? What if Wu Jin gets captured? Vexmore's expression became grave. The Vorthak Syndicate does not take prisoners. They kill intruders immediately. The room fell silent again. The danger was real and immediate. But, Vexmore continued, I have faith in Colonel Park. He has never failed a mission. Not once. Taeho stood up slowly. What can we do to help? The alien looked surprised. You want to help? He's my son, Taeho said simply. If he's really as important as you say, then his family should support him, Vexmore nodded approvingly. Actually, your position at Nexus could be useful. We need shipping manifests for the Epsilon sector. The Syndicate gets supplies from somewhere, and we need to know their patterns. I can get those, Taeho said immediately. Wait, Mi-young said. Are we really going to help plan a space mission? In our living room? Vexmore looked at each family member in turn. Colonel Park has risked everything for strangers countless times. The least we can do is risk a little for him. Wu Jin felt something warm in his chest. For the first time in years, his family was seeing him as he really was. Not a failure, not a disappointment, but someone who mattered. Someone who could make a difference. I'll take the mission, he said. After Wu Jin accepted the mission, Vexmore began sharing more details about the operation. But as he spoke, the family learned even more shocking truths about their son and brother. Colonel Park will be leading a team of specialists from 4 different species, Vexmore explained, bringing up another hologram. Calarian technical experts, Androian infiltration specialists, and Zephyrian pilots. Dahun looked confused. I thought he was going alone. The extraction requires a coordinated effort, Vexmore replied, but Colonel Park will be the mission commander. The other species specifically requested to serve under his leadership. So Min raised her hand again. Why do they want him to be the leader? Vexmore's crystalline features showed what looked like pride, because he has never lost a team member. In 7 years of operations, every person under his command has returned home safely. The family digested this information in silence. Their Wu Jin, who they thought was a failure, was actually trusted with the lives of alien soldiers. How long has he been doing this? Taeho asked quietly. Since he left your military, Vexmore replied. And the Galactic Defense Coalition recruited him immediately. His test scores were the highest they had ever recorded for a human. Mi Young was shaking her head. But he told us he was doing maintenance work. He is? Wu Jin said. I maintain peace between species that might otherwise go to war. I maintain the safety of innocent people. I maintain the balance of power in dangerous regions of space. His mother looked at him with tears in her eyes. Why didn't you tell us? Because the work requires absolute secrecy, Wu Jin explained. The fewer people who know my real identity, the safer everyone is. There are enemies who would hurt my family to get revenge on me. Vexmore nodded gravely. The Vorthic Syndicate has a long memory. If they knew Colonel Park had relatives on Earth, those relatives would become targets. Yuna looked frightened. Are we in danger now? No, Vexmore assured her. This meeting is happening under heavy security. My ship has defensive systems monitoring the entire area. And after this mission, Colonel Park's connection to this address will be scrubbed from all records. Dahun was finally beginning to understand the scope of his cousin's real life. The small apartment, the simple clothes, the quiet lifestyle. It's all protection. Exactly, Wu Jin confirmed. The best way to stay hidden is to be boring. Nobody looks twice at a maintenance worker. But you could have told us something, So Min protested. We thought you were wasting your life. Vexmore spoke up. Colonel Park specifically requested that his family not be informed of his activities. He said their safety was more important than their understanding. The alien activated another hologram, this one showing news broadcasts from different worlds. Perhaps you should see what your son has accomplished. The first image showed a massive space station with thousands of lights. Station Gamma 7, home to 50,000 civilians. It was taken by rebels who demanded independence from the Galactic Council. They had enough weapons to destroy 3-star systems. The hologram showed footage of explosions and firefights. The siege lasted 6 months. No military force could break through without causing massive civilian casualties. Then the image changed to show a single figure in dark armor moving through the station's corridors. Colonel Park infiltrated alone. He disabled the weapon systems, neutralized the rebel leaders, and negotiated a peaceful surrender, 0 casualties. The family watched in amazement as the figure removed his helmet, revealing Wu Jin's face. That's you, his mother whispered. The next hologram showed a swirling vortex in space with ships being pulled into it. The Andorian Rift, a dimensional tier that was growing larger every day. If it had continued expanding, it would have consumed the entire Andorian system. The footage showed rescue ships evacuating a research station that was being torn apart by gravitational forces. 3,000 people were trapped. Every evacuation attempt failed because the rift was too unstable. Then they saw Wu Jin again, piloting a small ship directly into the chaos. Colonel Park flew into the rift itself to plant stabilizing charges. He held the tier open long enough for everyone to escape, then sealed it from the inside. How did you survive that? Taeho asked in wonder. Humans can withstand dimensional stress better than most species, Vexmore explained. What would kill? Others you can endure. The final hologram showed 2 massive fleets facing each other in space. The Zarian War, 2 allied species turned against each other over resource rights. Both sides were preparing for total war. The image showed battleships charging weapons and moving into attack positions. Millions would have died in the first day alone. Then they saw a small shuttle flying directly between the 2 fleets. Colonel Park requested permission to mediate. Both sides laughed at him. One human against two military armadas. The footage showed Wu Jin boarding first one flagship, then the other. He spent 3 days moving between the fleets, talking to commanders, finding common ground. In the end, he convinced them that war would destroy everything they were fighting to protect. The hologram showed the fleets withdrawing and diplomatic ships meeting in neutral space. The Zarian Accords were signed 6 months later. Both species are now closer allies than ever before. Da-hoon was staring at his cousin with complete amazement. You prevented a war just by talking? Sometimes violence isn't the answer, Wu Jin said simply. Sometimes people just need someone to listen to both sides. Lexmore deactivated the holograms. These are only 3 of Colonel Park's major operations. There have been dozens of smaller missions, each one saving lives and preventing conflicts. So-min looked at her brother with new eyes. No wonder you're always so quiet. You must see terrible things. I see wonderful things too, Wu Jin replied. I've seen species that were enemies become friends. I've seen planets that were dying become beautiful again. I've seen families reunited after years of separation. Mi Young was wiping tears from her eyes. We were so wrong about you. So terribly wrong. You weren't wrong, Wu Jin said gently. You just didn't have all the information. I chose not to give you that information to keep you safe. Taeho stood up and walked over to his son. For a moment he just looked at him, then he bowed deeply. I am honored to be your father, he said formally. I am sorry I ever doubted you. Wu Jin helped his father stand straight. You don't need to apologize, Dad. You were being a good parent, wanting me to have a secure life. But you do have a secure life, his mother said. You have the most important job in the galaxy. Lexmore nodded. Colonel Park's work contributes to the safety and prosperity of billions of people across hundreds of worlds. There is no more important job. Da-hoon looked embarrassed. At the dinner I called you a space janitor. I said you were nothing. You weren't entirely wrong, Wu Jin said with a slight smile. I do clean up messes, just bigger messes than you thought. Yuna looked at her husband. Da-hoon, you said he was wasting his military training. I was wrong about everything. Da-hoon admitted. Wu Jin, I'm sorry, I had no idea. How could you know? Wu Jin replied. I made sure you couldn't know. Lexmore checked a device on his wrist. We should begin mission preparations. Colonel Park, your ship will be ready in 6 hours. Wait, So-min said. What happens after this mission? Will we ever see you again? Wu Jin looked around the room. At his family. That depends on how this goes. If everything works out, maybe I can share more of my life with you. Carefully and with proper security measures. We want to know, his mother said firmly. We want to understand what you do, even if we can't tell anyone else. Taeho nodded. You're our son? You're saving lives out there? We should support you. Not criticize you? Lexmore seemed pleased. Family support makes any soldier stronger. Colonel Park has always been formidable, but knowing his family understands his mission will make him even more effective. Mi Young looked at the alien. Is there anything we can do to help with future missions? Actually, yes, Lexmore replied. Colonel Park has always worked alone when on Earth. Having a support network here could be very valuable. Da-hoon straightened. Up on a layer. I could help with legal issues, documentation, anything involving Earth authorities. And I know people in shipping and logistics, Taeho added. If you need supplies or transportation arranged quietly. So-min was thinking hard. I'm studying languages at university. Maybe I could learn some alien languages to help with communications. Lexmore looked impressed. The Galactic Defense Coalition can always use skilled linguists. Wu Jin felt something he hadn't experienced in years. His family wasn't just accepting him. They wanted to be part of his mission. Thank you, he said simply. All of you. His mother stood up and hugged him tightly. We're proud of you, son. We always should have been proud of you. As Lexmore began outlining the mission timeline, the Park family listened with new understanding. Their quiet, disappointing relative was actually a hero whose actions affected the entire galaxy. And now, Finally, they could be part of his extraordinary world. The mission preparation took most of the night. Vexmore had converted the Park family's small living room into a temporary command center, with holographic displays showing ship specifications, team member profiles, and detailed infiltration plans. Wu Jin studied each piece of information carefully while his family watched in fascination. This was a side of him they had never seen. Professional, focused, completely in control. The team will assemble at Waystation Echo, Vexmore explained, pointing to a location on the star map. From there, you'll take the modified stealth ship through the nebula. How long will the mission take? So-min asked. If everything goes perfectly, 4 days, Wu Jin replied. But space missions rarely go perfectly. Taeho had been quiet for the last hour, but now he cleared his throat. Wu Jin, before you leave, I need to say something. The room fell silent. Taeho looked at his son with obvious emotion. For years I was embarrassed by you. I thought you had wasted your potential, thrown away your opportunities. I was wrong, and I'm ashamed of myself for not trusting you. He stood up and bowed formally again. You are not just my son. You are a hero, and I failed to see it. I failed as a father. Wu Jin shook his head. Dad, you didn't fail. You raised me with good values. Everything I learned about helping others, about doing what's right even when it's hard, I learned from you and Mom. But we criticized you, doubted you, his mother said, tears in her eyes. You were trying to protect me in the only way you knew how, Wu Jin replied. You wanted me to have a safe, normal life? There's nothing wrong with that. Vexmore observed this exchange with interest. In Calarian culture, family support is considered essential for a warrior's success. Colonel Park's achievements without that support make them even more remarkable. Ahun stood up slowly. Wu Jin, I owe you the biggest apology. I was cruel. To you, I called you a failure when you were actually saving lives across the galaxy. You didn't know, Wu Jin said simply. That's no excuse for being mean, Dahun insisted. I was jealous, actually. You seemed so calm, so sure of yourself, while I was always worried about money and status. I took my insecurity out on you. You nodded. Dahun has been talking about you for years. He always wondered why you never seemed stressed or unhappy, even though your life looked difficult. Now we know, Mi-young said. You found your purpose early. You knew what you were meant to do. Wu Jin looked around the room at his family. I want you all to understand something. The work I do is dangerous. There's always a chance I won't. Come back from a mission. The room became very quiet. But, he continued, I do this work because it matters. Every person I save, every war one prevent, every peace I help create, makes the galaxy a little bit better. That's worth the risk. So-min wiped her eyes. Will you be able to tell us about your missions now? Some of them, Wu Jin replied. The classified parts will have to stay secret, but maybe I can share more of my life with you. Vexmore activated his wrist device. Colonel Park, it's time to depart. The family gathered around Wu Jin for goodbyes. His mother hugged him tightly. Come. Back safe, she whispered. Your family will be waiting for you. Taeho shook his son's hand formally, then pulled him into a hug. I'm proud of you, son. I always should have been proud of you. Dahun approached hesitantly. Wu Jin, when you get back, maybe you could tell me about some of the legal challenges in space? I'd like to understand your world better. I'd like that, Wu Jin replied. So Dashmin was the last to say goodbye. Oppa, will you teach me some alien languages when you return? If you're serious about it, yes. The Coalition always needs good translators. Mi-young stepped forward. Wu Jin, I know I was hard on you about your apartment and your clothes. I understand now why you live simply. But when you come back, let us cook for you more often. Family dinners should be celebrations, not criticisms. I'd like that very much, Wu Jin said as they prepared to leave. Vexmore turned to the family. Before we go, you should know something. Colonel Park could have told you about his work at any time. The Coalition would have provided security. For all of you. But he chose to protect you by staying distant. He sacrificed his relationship with his family to keep you safe. The family looked at Wu Jin with new understanding. That's what heroes do, Vexmore continued. They make personal sacrifices for the greater good. Your son is a true hero, not just because of his missions, but because of his character. Wu Jin felt embarrassed by the praise. I just did what I thought was right. That's exactly what makes you a hero, his father said. As Wu Jin and Vexmore left the apartment, the family gathered at the window to watch them go. The sleek alien transport lifted silently into the night sky, carrying their son and brother to his dangerous mission. I can't believe we never knew, So-min said softly. I can't believe we criticized him for saving the galaxy, Da-hoon replied. Tae-ho put his arm around his wife. Our son is out there risking his life for people he's never met. We should be the proudest parents in the world. 3 days later, the family was gathered again for dinner when the news came on. The reporter was speaking about a dramatic rescue in deep space. In breaking news tonight, 23 Calarian scientists have been successfully rescued from the notorious Vortex Syndicate. The hostages were freed during a daring raid on a heavily fortified base in the dangerous Epsilon sector. The family stopped eating and stared at the screen. The rescue was carried out by a joint task force led by what sources describe as a human specialist. The syndicate's leader was captured, and dangerous terraforming technology was recovered before it could be sold to hostile forces. Da-hoon grabbed the remote and turned up the volume. Galactic Defense Coalition officials say the operation was flawless, with no casualties among the rescue team or the hostages. The successful mission has prevented what could have been a catastrophic war between multiple species. The reporter continued, while the identities of the rescue team remain classified, sources confirm that the mission commander was the same human operative responsible for the Station Gamma-7 liberation and the Andorian Rift incident. So-min looked at her parents with shining eyes. That's him. That's our Wu Jin? Our hero, his mother whispered. The news switched to an interview with one of the rescued Calarian scientists. The human who led our rescue was extraordinary, the alien said in accented Korean. He spoke our language perfectly, understood our customs, and risked everything to save people he had never met. We owe him our lives. Tae-ho felt tears running down his cheeks. My son did that. The broadcast showed footage of the rescued scientists being reunited with their families on their homeworld. Children ran to embrace parents they thought they might never see again. Because of one human's courage, the reporter concluded, 23 families are whole again tonight. Myung was crying openly, and we thought he was wasting his life. 2 days later, Wu Jin returned home. He looked tired but uninjured. When he knocked on his family's door, they nearly knocked him over with their enthusiastic welcome. We saw the news, So-min said, hugging him tightly. We're so proud of you. The whole galaxy is talking about it, Da-hoon added. You're famous, Wu Jin smiled. I'm not supposed to be famous. That defeats the purpose of being undercover. Well, you're famous to us, his mother declared. And that's what matters. Over dinner, Wu Jin carefully shared what he could about the mission. He told them about working with alien teammates, about navigating through the dangerous nebula, and about the relief on the hostages' faces when they realized they were free. The best part, he said, was seeing those families reunited. That's why I do this work. Tae-ho raised his glass. To my son, who I finally understand is exactly where he belongs. The family toasted together, and for the first time in years, Wu Jin felt completely at home. As the evening continued, they made plans for the future. Da-hoon offered to help with any legal issues that might arise from Wu Jin's work. So-min enrolled in advanced xenolinguistics classes. Myung volunteered to help maintain his cover identity. Tae-ho promised to provide any corporate intelligence that might be useful for future missions. We want to be part of this, his father said. We want to support what you do. As long as it's safe for you, Wu Jin replied. We understand the risks, his mother assured him. But we also understand how important your work is. We want to help however we can. Vexmore contacted them the next week with an official message from the Galactic Defense Coalition. Wu Jin's family had been cleared for limited security status, allowing them to provide basic support for his operations. This is highly unusual, the alien explained during another visit to their apartment. Family members are rarely involved in coalition activities, but Colonel Park's effectiveness has increased significantly since gaining your support. The family beamed with pride. Does this mean we're part of the space military now? Somin asked excitedly. You're consultants, Vexmore replied. Civilian consultants with very limited clearance. But yes, you are now officially part of the coalition support network. Months passed and the Park family settled into their new reality. Wu Jin still lived simply and worked undercover, but now he could share parts of his extraordinary life with the people who mattered most to him. At family dinners, instead of criticism, he faced questions about alien cultures, space technology, and diplomatic protocols. His work became a source of pride rather than shame. One evening, as they watched news reports about successful peace negotiations between two formerly hostile species, Taeho turned to his son. The news says a human mediator helped broker that agreement. Wu Jin smiled but said nothing. That was you, wasn't it? Somin asked. I can't comment on ongoing diplomatic efforts, Wu Jin replied formally, then winked. The family laughed, understanding that some secrets still had to be kept. But the most important secret was no longer between them. They knew who Wu Jin really was, not a failure or a disappointment, but a hero whose quiet work made the entire galaxy a safer, more peaceful place. And that knowledge made all the difference. At the next family dinner, when relatives asked about Wu Jin's work, Taeho simply smiled and said, My son helps people. It's very important work. He never said more than that, but his pride was obvious to everyone in the room. And Wu Jin, sitting quietly at the table, as always, knew that he finally had what every hero needed most. A family who understood that some battles are worth fighting, even if the world never knows your name.